The Palace of Blachernae was an imperial Byzantine residence in the suburb of Blachernae, located in the northwestern section of Constantinople. The area of the palace is now mostly overbuilt, and only literary sources are available as to its description. History. The Palace of Blachernae was constructed on the northern slopes of the sixth hill of the city in circa 500. The hill itself was partially remodeled, particularly in later times, and a number of terraces created to support the various buildings comprising the palace complex. Although the main imperial residence during the 4th–11th centuries was the Great Palace at the eastern end of the city, the Blachernae Palace was used at times, and is attested in the ceremonial protocols contained in the 10th century De Ceremonia, or Explanation of the Order of the Palace, chapters I-27, I-34, 2, 9, 2, 12, of Emperor Constantine VII Porphyrogenitos. At that time, it included several structures. The Hall of Anastasius or Anastasiakos, named after Emperor Anastasius I who built it, the Hall of the Ocean or Okeanos, the Portico of Joseph or Iosophiakos, and the Hall of the Danube or Danubios. The latter communicated with the nearby shrine of the Greek Orthodox Church of St. Mary of Blachernae through a series of staircases. It was here that in the late 11th century the Emperor Alexios I Komnenos moved his main residence, and he and his grandson Manuel I Komnenos undertook great works there, fortifying the palace precinct and erecting new halls. Manuel I, in particular, is credited with the construction of an elaborate outer wall, and of several splendid new halls, such as the Hall of Irene and the Polychimosoikos. At this time the palace complex became known as the New Palace. Among the structures of the time, only the so-called prison of Anemas, which formed part of the palace's substructure, still survives. After the Fourth Crusade, the Latin emperors favored the Bucolion Palace, but on the recapture of the city in 1261, the Palaeologan emperors restored the Blachernae complex as their principal residence. The Palace of the Porphyrogenitus, probably dating to the late 13th century, although a bit further south than the main Blachernae palace complex, is usually related to it. It is the only relatively intact example of Byzantine palace architecture in Constantinople.